into the show
that informs, improves, and inspires racers everywhere.
The Northwest Race Report. The Northwest Race Report is brought to you by O'Hagan's Kart Supply, Lebanon, Oregon. You want to win? O'Hagan's wants to help. And by True Tech Automotive, Hazeldale, Washington. Get your car, truck, or tow rig repaired the right way, the True Tech way. And by Scott Seal Coat and Striping, Federal Way. For over 25 years, whether you're sealing or striping, you can count on Scott. And by Southern Oregon's karting headquarters, Speed City LLC, keeping racers on track with quality support and friendship. You're tuned in to the Northwest Race Report exclusively at terrybridges.com. And now back to your horsepower and performance hosts, Terry Bridges and Glenn Lippy Tower. What is going on, racers? Terry Bridges, I'm your horsepower and performance broadcaster, and it's another edition of the Northwest Race Report. Boy, we got a great show for you, but first, I got to introduce the other cast. Sitting in, no Lip tonight. Traffic's a little late, or a little bad.
Really bad.
So he's running a little bit late. So in the house, though, is none other than the main man, Double M, Mike Michelson. What's up, Mikey?
Doing good, Terry. Happy Thanksgiving.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Absolutely. What do you think of that there, huh? A little happy Thanksgiving turkey gobble there for everybody. And in the house tonight, he's back. Tonight, the one, the only, the loader, Mr. Jeff Eden. What's going on, Jeffrey?
Just living the dream.
Yeah, I know, right? That's
one day at a time.
One day at a time. How's your back, by the way?
Back ain't the issue. It's my shoulder.
Oh, my bad. Well, same diff.
And it hurts, so.
Yeah, well, we got to see who's P1 tonight. Let's see.
Oh, take a guess. Green flag.
Oh, no way. Jeremy Means P1?
P1.
Holy smokes. Wow.
I think that's the first time.
That's a tune-up on there, baby. I'm telling you what. Sean Carr in the house. He's in the runner-up spot. Kyle Keenan making the podium. Matt Streby's fourth. Tony Williamson is fifth. Kyler Culver sixth. Tim Lawrence seventh. Kevin Lau in the eighth spot. All right. And Joe Ransom ninth. Mark Bergfeld is he makes the top 10. Wow, cool stuff. So, hey, yeah, we got a great show for you tonight. As you guys know, it is, I named the show tonight, it's called Chris Seay Unplugged. I think we have arguably probably one of the, if not the guru of speedway karting, Mr. Chris Seay from Seay High Performance, going to be here giving us all kinds of tips and stuff on tires. You know, I talked to him, Mike, earlier in the week, and I'm going to tell you, just from casual conversation, I got an education.
Yeah. No, it's some people just emanate excellence, right? And you learn and learn and learn. I know I'm excited to listen in tonight and hear what he has to say.
Yeah. He said he's getting ready for the big turkey bash they got back down there. So he said to give him a chance to take a break and hang out. But first things first. We're going to be back in just a moment. We got something for you to listen to here, and so don't go anywhere.
Hey, crew, Double M here with the Northwest Race Report. We talked to Renee Angel last Saturday, and here's what she had to say.
Ow.
Yeah, definitely Corey's good. I kind of wish Chris Passinetti would have been there, kind of just as another gauge. But, I haven't run a KT since Phoenix last year, and that's basically what we're doing is getting everything sorted out. Put some different brakes, some different axle bearings in the cart, and just making sure everything's okay.
Well, personally, I would say guy needs to run it one more just to see if it truly is that good.
Well, the tires down there are different than here, so handling-wise, it's kind of a night and day deal, but the motor ran good, temperatures were okay, clutch was good, brakes worked.
You know what I noticed? You through the middle, you seemed to much quicker than normal. You weren't hardly waiting on it at all. You were really rolling.
Yeah, at Phoenix last year, we kind of discovered something with that motor and gearing, and it definitely showed here too.
Now, is that a Collins or is that a...
That's a CMC motor.
Ooh.
It is Evan Margison's motor that he ran at the Nationals in Spokane in 03. So it was, he won a Duffy with it. It's a good piece. I just been kind of hanging on to it, and Don did a bunch of work on 3 of my motors last year, and we picked the best one out of all of them, and that was it.
Renee Angel takes the win in KT Heavy.
Hey racers, Double M here on the Northwest Race Report. We caught up with Chris Hatch last Saturday, and here's his thoughts on how Salem Speedway was.
The lap times I ran would have won last week, even bigger than I won. So the class is getting faster, the competition's getting there, and unfortunately for me, the track was so good that the place where I make up for my weight, I couldn't do it today because no one was making mistakes. And I'm going to attribute to Bob Leach just giving us an awesome track to run on. Made great competition for everyone else, hurt my game a little bit, but it isn't about me. It's about building a great class and a great speedway. So I'm tickled to death with my 6th place finish today. No, it had so much grip. It was just from the get-go, we were able to hammer way harder than we have out here in a long time. I mean, that was about as perfect as a track as far as grip out here that we've had. There was a ton of grip in that track.
Chris Hatch brings it home an unbelievable 6th today.
We're back, and it was unbelievable. Of course, he runs in the 206 light. Actually, it's medium, isn't it? Medium, because we have a light, a medium, and what they call a sumo in the 206s. I don't know that that's a fair name for that sumo, right?
We're the ones that came up with it. So.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah,
that's cool. That's cool.
Spade's a spade, right?
Yeah, you know what, Double M, I gotta say, Renee Angel, you weren't there to see it, but in Yamaha Heavy, KT Heavy, dude, it was lights out. I mean, it was. I haven't seen a domination like that since probably. Passanante or Spear. I mean, it's been a little bit. I mean, she was really, really, really good.
I was listening. That was one of the races I did get to listen to, and when you drive away from Corey Markham, it's kind of
that's what I'm saying.
Something's cooking.
Yeah, dude. I mean, and it wasn't like he was junk.
No,
I mean, she was just that good. I mean, they nailed that setup. So, but anyway, we got some results for you. We only got about a few minutes here before Chris C is gonna give us a call here. So we want to be, we want to be all prepped and ready. God, appreciate all you guys tuning in. Clark Family Racing in the house. Scott Keeney, Daryl Kelso, Dan Watkins, awesome stuff. But anyway, I'll start off. Super Sport 200. Of course, 2 weeks ago, the King was here, Danny Cahill. And he got it done. He beat Dennis Flint. Boy, they went at it. That was a heck of a race. But this week, it was all Dennis Flint. But I'll tell you, the guy that was awesome, the guy that was really awesome, was the 4-car of Dave Wooten. He was solid all day and fast. Cool. I mean, he got off early. If he wouldn't have made a mistake lap traffic, I don't know. Flint might have had to work for it. But he was second, and the 11 of Ty Easton was third. That was Super Sport 200 Heavy. UAS Open, there was 3 of them. Yeah, rather disappointing, but I understand on the third is when we're expecting most of them. I see Zach Schmitz is getting some stuff dialed in. The Iron Man said he was going to be here. Sean Carr. Sean, I don't know. Are you going to be there? I don't know. Jason Gibb, the Wizard in the house. Right on. Talk about a Speedway legend right there. So it was Singleton, Passanante, Williamson. Williamson looked pretty good. He spun in the main. That's one of those deals. Passanante, he didn't even run the second heat. He won the first heat, didn't run, and then, of course, Anna won it. They struggled again. That poor cart.
You were saying it sounded like it was just kind of laboring.
Oh my God! Yeah, and then you get over there, and there's just I don't know. I mean, it's definitely not all the way right? I mean, because there was stuff he had to do still on it, and it was kind of like, Milton, you gotta fix that stuff before you come to the racetrack. But it's just how it is, I guess. But and then my last one here, before I turn it over to Double M here, Renee Angel takes the win in KT Heavy. But listen to these names. It was Renee Angel, Jeremy Brown, Corey Markham, Justin Beard, Dan Kravitz, Brent Meyer, Chuck Jones, Bill Story, and Carissa Peru. That is by no means
it's a good field.
A joke of a class.
Yep.
And she won. Kravitz won his heat, and Renee won hers. So it was. Justin Beard was out. Yeah, he struggled a little bit, which you do when you bring out a new ride.
Absolutely.
So he'll be back. He'll be strong. Kravitz was decent too. It went to Renee and Corey Markham and Kravitz, and then
Cool.
Chuck Jones got his stuff back together too.
Good deal.
Yeah.
Good deal.
So anyway, off to you, man.
Okay, so LO206, we will go with the 330 class first. The main event looks like it went to Billy Weber, and then Brandon Finch and the Bandit coming in third. 380 class, Brandon Finch took the win in that. Sounds like it was handily. I was listening to that. It sounds like
Who was this?
Brandon Finch.
Oh yeah,
kinda
it was, yeah.
checked out.
Oh yeah.
And then Weber was second in that. Rowdy Green was third. Brian Williamson came in fourth, and then McLeod was fifth. So that class, Terry, I'm telling you, every day, there's new people putting stuff together. So I'm excited to be a part of that class, and I think it's talking to Steve King today, we're shooting for 20 by the end of the year.
Well,
so
they took Matt's motor. They claimed it.
yeah, I heard that.
Yeah,
I heard that.
And it was but they suspect some fuel maybe, but it didn't smell too the same. But who knows? I mean,
Well, we're working on a fuel tester for sure.
yep.
So
and they need to do something.
Yeah.
I mean, just to keep, if nothing else, to keep people honest.
Well, that's
that's the
not
bottom
to get
line
too
there.
far off topic here, but I want to talk to Chris Seay about that too, and kind of see what kind of tech do they do back east on stuff. Because these classes are huge. What do they do?
Absolutely,
I'd be
they do.
interested.
Well,
so.
yeah. I mean, we talked about that too a little bit, and we'll get into that too tonight. But
So other small 4-cycle stuff, Fart Cart, Predator, Matt Finch checked out again on that, won that. Kyler Culver was second, Nate Culver was third, and then True Tech Mikey Clark was in fourth. So.
Yeah, and that was just a track position deal on that for Mikey. So
yeah, I'd like to see that class have some more carts too. Honestly,
yeah, I know.
I'm gonna bring one down next weekend, so
sweet,
throw it in the mix.
Sweet. We'll have to get Jeff down there in one.
They don't think there's one got a big enough motor to pull me.
Oh yeah, they do. If they can pull Mikey Clark around, they can pull you around. Right? He's a big boy. So, yeah, you'll be just fine. And what else you got? Is that it?
That's it. That's all I had.
Okay. And then, Jeffrey, what'd you have?
Oh, a kid cart, one of them.
Yeah.
Mike Sunset. Junior 2 4-cycle. Becca Clark won the main.
Yeah.
Won her heat race.
Woo! That was awesome.
And Junior 1 4-cycle.
Was it Valentine?
Greg and Hildebrandt.
Oh, was it? Let's see. What I have? I know.
That's your writing. I can't hardly read it.
No, it was Brendan Gregg. He won it. Brendan Gregg won it. Yeah, that's Kyle Keenan's little protege that he's coaching.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh, good deal.
Yeah. So,
was this second race on dirt?
Yeah. Yep. Second race. Yep.
Well, if that track was hooked up this last week there, that ought to be for these
Focus
midgets.
Yeah.
They ought to haul in there.
Yeah.
Yep.
If it's anything like it has been the last couple of, I mean, Hatch, you heard him. He said, "Man, this is the best track we've seen down there, in a long time." I mean, it was pretty racy, and there was people using the high groove, not as much as normal, but those bigger ones, they're going to have to run it in up there because they're. I mean, if it gets one groove, you ain't going to be able to do nothing there. But
follow the leader.
Yeah, and I don't think these guys are. With you got Crum, you got Shane Smith, Renee, you got did you hear Biles I think got another car.
Oh, cool.
I see Kenny Roots is coming down from Canada to run it.
Yeah.
Wow.
They had what they have. They had 18. She posted the list here the other day. There was like 18 or 20 cars, and then the cage carts are going to be with them. So
Yeah.
we're going to see if Christian Osborne can go two for two there here at Salem, because he dominated last time. So if it's anything like that, but so that's Saturday is the day show, and it's the 125s, 250s, the box stocks and beginner box and all that stuff during the day. The night show is going to be the 500s and the Focus midgets. There's also the what is it? The Northwest
micro sprints.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. The Northwest micro sprints, I think it is, or the. I'm not sure what the exact name is. I thought it was Northwest micro sprints, but I want to say there's something else. But anyway, they're going to be there. The Ford Focus midgets are going to be there. That's really the headliner, and they're going to be there Saturday and Sunday. So that's going to be it's
a busy weekend.
Yeah, and for the money,
Yep.
You're not going to get a better seat in the house to get to watch these guys run and be up close and be right there, be able to talk to them. So for the money, it's a good deal. I mean, because you'd pay I don't know what they're going to charge to get in there, but it's it'd be probably $25-$30 anywhere else.
Right.
So I don't know. We'll see. I mean,
Well, you're talking about the second groove, and it was watching bought the deal from the Duel in the Desert on Saturday night with the modifieds down there, and that announcer, I love his deal with, because they were all freight training on the high side, and all of a sudden one guy goes to the bottom, and he goes, well, he's going where nobody else is. Run him where there's nobody, and the kid just literally went to the front.
oh, did he really down on the bottom?
Yeah.
It's cool.
Imagine that.
Pacific mini sprints.
Yeah, that's what it is.
What they are.
Yeah, thank you, Sean, in the dirt. So yeah, I don't know, man. We're waiting on Chris C to give us a buzz here. He's going to call any time. I told him 6:45, so hopefully he remembers. I'm sure he won't forget, but I don't know. I'm getting antsy here because I want you guys to get as much time with him as possible. So let's see here.
BLG Blue in the house.
Yes, Brian Esquinia. Big changes coming from BLG, boy. Let me tell you. So stay tuned for that. Anything new, Brian, from you on that? You can chime in on the chat line if you would. That'd be cool. There he is, the man himself.
Hey, Terry.
Hey, what's going on?
Doing okay?
Your favorite drivers and people of interest in the motorsports world. It's time for
You there?
In the Seat, powered by Blue Line Graphics. All right, our guest tonight, brought to you by BLG, www.blg.blue, Blue Line Graphics. Arguably, like we said earlier in the show, he is probably the guru of really of speedway karting. I mean, if you want to know anything about it, whether it be UAS or clone or anything else, Mr. Chris C is the man. Chris, I got to thank you ahead of time. I can't even tell you how awesome it is to have you on the show.
Well, thank you, Terry. This is awesome. It's been a while since I've done one of these deals. Some time back, I guess, 6 or 8 years ago, I did one with Greg Wright, Rapid Racing. He was doing a radio internet deal like this, and it's pretty cool. But it's been a while since I've been live like this, so it's kind of like doing Facebook Live without all the drama.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'm sure that a lot of people know who you are. They buy your parts, they buy your glass, they see the results, but I don't know that a whole lot of them maybe really know your history. So, I mean, I want these guys to get as much technical info as they can, but if you take a few seconds, just kind of bring us up to date. I mean, you've been in the game forever.
Well, yeah, I'm not that old. I tell people all the time, it's not that I'm that old. I've just been around a long time. I guess, growed up in karting. My dad, he got started back in the late 60s. And, I'm 50 years old, so I was born in, 66, I guess. But anyway, he, late 60s, he got a go-kart and got interested in karting. And so by the time I was 4 or 5 years old, I was sitting in West Bends and McCullough's and whipping around the yard and hitting the racetracks after the races was over. He'd put me out there on the go-kart and let me make laps. But later on, he started a kart shop and had new karts and parts and sold fuel and tires. And, of course, back then, you know, I think a Carlisle Sawtooth tire was like maybe $5 or $6, and an inner tube was $2 or $3. So if you spent $8 or $9 on a tire and wheel assembly, I mean, it was the end of the world. You just couldn't believe you had to go buy another tire. That's another $6. My gosh. But times have changed, definitely changed. But later on, in the early 70s, he opened up a kart track. And we ran a kart track in Saluda, North Carolina, right off the side of the mountains, a tenth of a mile asphalt oval. So I kind of grew up through the 70s running every weekend on that little 10th mile asphalt oval.
Wow.
And at one time, he was actually running 2 racetracks. We had an asphalt road course in Pauline, South Carolina, and we ran that track on Friday nights, and he ran the oval track on Sunday afternoons, but did that from 1972 up to about 1978, 79. And it just, you know, like everything else, it just wears you out. So I got rid of the go-kart track and started traveling and running circuit races and chasing the points. So that's kind of the early beginnings.
Wow. So is Speedway your favorite? I mean, did you do any sprinting?
Oh, yeah. I guess, when I was younger, that was probably the most prevalent racing in our area was sprint asphalt. They had the South Carolina Bridgestone Series that we ran for years, and there were 3 different tracks that we ran that series on. They had the Rockingham Carolina Cup Series, which they sprint raced on Saturday and road raced on Sunday.
Yeah.
And we did that deal for years and chased the national WK Manufacturers Cup stuff and did some road racing. So
road racing wise, did you ever work with a guy named John Gibson?
Well, I know John. He was from Charlotte. He was a superkart guy, and you know, we did the open light and the control classes, but never did any superkart stuff back in the day. No.
Boy, he was fast. I mean, somebody said, I don't know, 166 at Daytona when they ran it there on his 250 super. I mean, that's just insane. I don't know.
Yeah, and that's before bodywork was, you know, as prevalent as it is now. And,
yeah.
I mean, there were guys running 140, 150 mile an hour with their toes sticking, with no bumper, their toes sticking up in the air. So
isn't that crazy? I know. I mean, and that's pretty fast by today. I mean, that would still be pretty quick. That's still a good ride by today's standards.
Oh yeah, no doubt. But you know, everything comes around. What goes around comes around.
Right. What?
You go back in the day and look at the old FKE carts, at some of the bodywork, you know, total enclosures on those carts. Pretty wild stuff.
Yeah, because I know Ernie Fisher, you know, well, they had talked about last year or at the BK doing a Troy Ruttman Award. And I want to say Diotti won it. But that was one of the talks that they were going to actually give a, you know, IKF was said, hey, yeah, it's okay if you use the name. We're going to give you a Troy Ruttman Award so you can give away to, you know, the best engineered ride there. So I thought that was kind of cool. I mean, I think that's they'll have a Chris C one here, you know, after a while, I'm pretty sure.
That's I don't know. That's giving myself a whole lot more credit than I deserve. I tell you, I'm quite honestly, there's a lot of guys out there that don't get the credit that they deserve. Just been in this stuff a lot longer than I have, but I appreciate the notion anyhow.
No, I mean, I'm sure that that's going to happen. I mean,
I know you're humble, and I get that, and it's wonderful. But I mean, let's face it, your stuff runs, and it runs well, and it always runs up front. It seems like. So, how did you meet Robbie Yao? How did that relationship get together?
Well, let me go back a ways. That might have been fostered a little bit through Stephen Gleason, because my dad, he's, two-stroke motors. I mean, that's his thing,
right,
from way back in the day.
Right.
And so Stephen, when he got into karting, everybody said, man, if you need a motor built, you need to go see Henry Seay. So Stephen got in touch with me, and he came down one weekend. And I mean, Stephen's just, you meet him for the first time, you think you've known him, your whole life. He's just a great guy. But we built him a 125 sedan and helped him get set up, and he raced some. And I think it was 2009, maybe 2010, that he wanted Robbie to drive his car at Daytona. So Robbie went down with Stephen to Daytona and took that 125 that my dad built and set on the pole.
Wow.
And so they were trying to get the thing geared, and I think he called the house and was asking me about, what do we need to do? We're sitting on the pole, but, Chavis was outside pole, and he's fast, and we want to stay in front of him. What are we going to do? So I didn't initially get on the phone with him. I think my wife, Debbie, talked to him, and she might have told him what gear to put on it. So I was just talking to her, and she was talking to him. And anyway, I don't remember what happened in the race. If he fell out, I think he led for a good part of the race and either finished second or something happened. But anyway, not long after that, he called me back and says, hey, I'd like to drive some of your stuff. So we just kind of hooked up, and the first race we went to was Possum Kingdom in January of 2010. It was bitter cold that day and had about a 30, 40-mile-an-hour crosswind.
Ooh. And
Robbie took the BRC out that day at a tri-state, I think it was a tri-state event, and set it on the pole, broke the track record. And it's just been great relationship ever since. You can't beat the Yaos, just Mike and Robbie Yao,
mm-hmm.
and Papa Yao. That's some of the greatest people you'll ever meet.
Yeah,
family.
I'm looking forward to it. After our conversations last week, I got a chance to talk to Robbie not talk, but we hit it up on Facebook, and he seems like just a super down to earth and good guy. So.
Oh, they are. I mean, like I said, that's the thing about karting. It's all about the people you meet and the relationships you have. I mean, that's what keeps you in this thing. I know it's about competition. We love that. I mean, that's what we do it for. We go to the racetrack to win. But you've got that people element that you just can't take out. And we just love meeting new people, making new friends. So.
I couldn't agree. I could not agree more. So I guess now we kind of got up to date on how Chris Seay got involved and so on and so forth. But so now let's fast forward to today a little bit, and let me ask you the question of what do you think, or what would you say to the question of what do you think that most racers who maybe aspire to be good or be fast and whatnot, what do you think the biggest mistakes that they're making are? I mean, would you have any advice for somebody like that that's just getting going, maybe he's real hungry?
How to get fast? Is that what you're asking?
Well, yeah, you got to say, most, I'm sure you say all the time, most of these guys, these beginners, I see it all the time. This is what they do. They're worried about this. They're worried about that. This, that, and the other thing. There's got to be a certain amount of things where you can say, listen, I see a lot of racers, and I see the number one thing that they're doing wrong is.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to have to point to my youngest kid, Evan. He's 16, and he started riding kid karts when he was 4. But at the racetrack, you just couldn't peel that kid off the fence. he knew every driver. He knew who run up front. He studied their line. He watched where they ran on the racetrack. And when he got an opportunity to get on the racetrack, he tried to mimic their line. He even tried to mimic the way he held the steering wheel and the way he sat in the seat and his posture in the car. He's always watched the guys that are fast. And those are the guys that he patterned himself off of. But he's developed into a great young driver, and that's just something that he's always done. He's looked at the ones who are fast and mimicked what they do.
Mm-hmm.
And he's the same way now. He goes to the fence. He wants to see who's fast and what they're doing on the racetrack. What line are they using? And when they come off the racetrack, what's the first thing they do to their car? Where do they go to make adjustments? I mean, you've got to pay attention to what's running in front of you. Yeah. So, that's just one of the things that I noticed about him that's kind of helped develop him in his driving style.
Absolutely. And I couldn't agree more with that statement. It's kind of like, well, like I go to the track a lot, and I see kids now all the time. They're a kid kart, or even, whatever, junior 1, junior 2, and they get off the go-kart and they're on a skateboard, or they're running around the pits, clowning around, playing, grab bottom and all this stuff, when the dad's over there doing all the work. And to me, that's just not going to get it.
Well, where there's a lack of focus there, it's just going to take longer. You want your kid to be competitive, and you want him to understand what you're doing and understand what you're doing to the go-kart, and try to get some feedback from him. That's another thing, just talking to your driver. And I think that's very important. Me growing up driving a car and working with my dad, and our relationship back and forth as to what to do to the car. Anybody that's ever raced with their dad, that's an up and downhill relationship all the way throughout your racing career.
Absolutely.
Because at some point in time, you're going to butt heads about what to do to the car.
It's all down.
And, having raced with your dad, you learn a lot. And you learn a lot about what to do and what not to do, and what to say and what not to say. So one of the things that I try to focus on with my kids is listen to them. You tell me what the cart's doing. And you've got to explain to them, sure, I can stand on the sidelines and I can watch the car and I can try to visualize what it's doing. But that feedback from the driver is key. That's imperative. They're the ones that's turning wheel. So you've got to teach them how to communicate to you what the car's doing for you to make proper adjustments. I mean, take, for instance, Jimmy Johnson and Todd Knaus. I mean, that's a premium example, and their success is based purely off of communication. That they know how to communicate with one another, and Knaus would not know what to do to that race car if Jimmy Johnson didn't give him proper feedback.
Wow. Yeah, it's true. I mean, because you got to know, and you got to know your driver, right? A tick tight to one guy is not a tick tight to another, right? So I mean, it's just kind of it is
it's difficult to mirror setups. I mean, you got two different drivers, and you can put them in the same go-kart, and it's going to react different. I mean, just the way they hold the wheel, the way they enter the corner, it changes the way the car reacts. And one guy might take, a little more cross or a little less cross than the other one, or a little more or a little less left side.
Right.
A lot of it has to do with driving style.
Well, and everybody says, well, what's the best go-kart? And they used to ask that even when, doing the late model stuff, they'd say, man, you got to have a Rayburn, or you got to have this or that, or you got to, they're all fast. You just got to find the sweet spot, I think.
Oh yeah, most definitely. It's such a tire game, That's and that's a conversation all in itself. But any car can be made fast. It just has to do with how you approach the setup and how good your tire game is. That's really what it comes down to.
Right. So, like, if you were going to run Salem, which you might, but so I don't want you to give away everything. But if looking at Salem, knowing what you know, having seen the BKs and stuff, how would you come set up? What would you show up here with? I can't tell you that, Terry.
Wow.
I'd have to kill you.
Well, Terry, just so hey, Chris.
Look, you can't go in someone else's backyard and expect to have all the answers. You've got guys out there that run that race. I don't know how often they run that track. Is it weekly, bi-weekly?
Not enough. Yeah, there hasn't really been anybody there this year yet.
Every other week.
Well, see, it's like
much.
anything else. That racetrack changes. What's happening on it now will be totally different when you've got twice as many cars running on it.
That's a fact. That is a fact.
It just comes down to reading the racetrack, and you've got to have enough in your arsenal to take care of whatever conditions you might be dealt with. How much moisture's in the track, how dry it is. Temperature. There's just so many variables there.
So
you've got to have enough ammo when you get there to take care of any situation.
I agree. So when it's super cold outside, say when those, like you said, it's bitter cold and it's super freezing. I mean, does the tire softness and all that, is it still on that same deal? I mean, you still got to read the race. If it's hard, you got to. I mean, so now if it's most people would say if the track is super hard or really, they're going to go with a super soft tire. But that is not the right way to approach that. Correct?
Well, this is my understanding of Salem. Salem's a hard track, and but the issue with it is it's kind of grainy. Does that sound right? It's got a coarseness to the surface. I mean, it looks smooth, but the surface maybe has some rock in it.
Yes.
Yeah, and typically that's a very difficult surface to get a hold of.
I agree.
And so it really comes down to watching what works. I mean, I think most of the guys there are running probably Vegas, and a few guys are running Maxxis tires, and maybe a few running Burris.
Yeah, yellow Vegas are very popular. Blues and pinks are very popular, and then of course the Burris are also very popular. But some of them are forced, and others are not.
That goes to show that the racetrack lacking the grit that it has, that just about any tire will get a hold of the surface in a comparable way. It's really going to come down to the right chemical, because right now in today's karting world, that right chemical is everything to get a hold of that racing surface. And you were talking about temperature and durometer of a kart tire. What most of the guys are doing, in the East now is just internally prepping these tires throughout the week, and that's key. And, what's working? Is it a 60cc tire or 75? Or some of these guys have really got this thing down to a science within 5 cc's of which tire that they want to choose. And the good thing about internal prepping is there's less external prepping done at the racetrack, because most of your prep is worked into the tire from the inside. So the only thing that you want to do to it at the racetrack, you wipe during the week, and you put your bite into the tire during the week and let it cure up. This makes your tire more stable so it doesn't blister and tear up. If you try to work your tire at the track on race day, you'll just kill the tire and it'll come apart. So you've got to give it time to cure throughout the week as you're treating the tire. So at the racetrack, hopefully all you'll have to do is just wipe something on to get the tire to fire off, or in the early stages of the qualifying period or race or whatever, and then let the chemical take over from there. That's on the inside of the tire. So you got a lot more stable tire if you go in that direction.
Wow. So now, and we talked last week, and I think you told me that, so you're prepping the inside, but that also has an effect on the not just the surface of the tire, but the sidewall of the tire, correct?
Well, you don't want that to happen. You don't want to prep the sidewall. You want to keep the prep out of the sidewall as much as possible. That's why you creep up on your prepping on the inside. So if you want to roll a 100cc tire, you may or may not want to put all 100 cc's in at one time. You might want to put 50 in, roll it a while, and then put another 50 in so it doesn't creep down the sidewalls of the tire. Your sidewall is very important. If you soften the sidewall, excuse me, and take away the stiffness of the tire, you just change the tire completely. You go to the racetrack, you might want a tire that's 6 months old, maybe one that's dried out a little bit. The sidewalls are stiffer. When that tire dries out, you got a stiffer sidewall. So now you can take that tire with a stiffer sidewall and prep it internally and get the surface of the tire where you need it. And that tire would be faster in certain circumstances than, fresh rubber.
So
it's just a matter of what,
So
who's
Chris,
got enough tires and have they read the track correctly? And unfortunately, that's where we're at in racing now. But it's very much a science, and these guys in this area have got it down to a science.
It is very much a science. Chris, this is Lippy. I snuck in late, but I've got lots of questions. So when you say the sidewall, you don't want to get prep on it. So I have to ask a question on what wheel width you run on the right hand side. Are you still running a 10-inch wheel on your right side tires?
Well, we are, and that's based purely off of that's what these carts are designed around. I mean, that's what everybody runs. Your offset of these frames between the front and the rear, and these carts are designed based off running that 10-inch wide wheel on the right side of the car.
I agree 100% on that, but what I'm getting at is when you do that, you stretch the tire out so far. Other than Maxxis are pretty wide. I'm used to running Burris tires, and this is why I'm asking this. But you're basically taking the sidewall out of the equation with a wide wheel like that, or is that not what you feel happens?
Well, why would you think you'd be taking the sidewall out of the equation, I guess would be my question.
Well, because we have a 10-inch wheel and an 8-inch tire, so we're stretching it out a long ways, whereas like a Maxxis is already a 9-inch tire, so it's quite a bit wider. So there is more of the sidewall in the equation, but when we stretch those out, we end up losing some of the sidewall. So this is a question I have, and I want to know about this a little more, because I run 10-inch, yes, but I might go down to a 9-inch to try and get more sidewall into my equation if that's going to help me hold on better.
Yeah, well, I can understand that in some situations. Now, like I said, the tracks in your area are different than the tracks in ours.
Right.
We typically run, very high grip tracks, and you can count on just about anywhere you go, an inch to an inch and a quarter in the rear, and about an inch and a half in the front. I mean, that's just textbook. That's where you're going to start. Now, if we go indoor, we will stretch that right side and shrink the left side and get as much as we can, hopefully, an inch and a quarter, inch and 3/8, inch and a half, if we can, is what we're looking for. And sometimes you might want to go to a more narrow right rear tire to gain that extra circumference. And, Burris tires, that's a different tire from the Maxxis altogether. You treat it different. It's a great tire. I mean, I love the Burris guys. I mean, you won't find any better people than Mike and Kurt.
I agree.
And I mean, if UAS ever went to a spec tire, I mean, Burris would be my pick, number one. It's a great tire.
Good to know.
I mean, I know. Typically, we run Maxxis in this area. That's the tire choice because it works on our racetrack. But if I had a preference and I could run a tire that's out there and call it a spec tire for UAS, no doubt it'd be a Burris tire.
Nice. I'm glad to hear that, actually. They're my favorite, but I do have everything in my shop, yellows and whites and blues and pinks, which blues and pinks with my higher horsepower are my choice up here. But it's like you said, back there, you guys are trying to get rid of grip or lessen the grip, and here we are always forever searching for grip. So it is a different coast to coast.
Yeah, I mean, we can, when we prep these tires internally, we are adding bite to the tire.
Yes.
But we may get to the racetrack and we may need some bite out of that tire. And what you want to do at that point is not put any harsh or aggressive prep on the outside. And guys resort to using stuff like Simple Green or Track Tack tire wash is great too. And these are very common tire preps in this area when the track really bites up and gains a lot of grip. The guys just switch over to a more of a degreaser, and they wipe their tires with degreasers to take that surface prep off to lessen the grip of the tire a little bit.
That is interesting.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Chris, don't go anywhere, buddy. I got to get an ad in, okay? So we'll be back, you guys. Don't go anywhere, please.
Okay.
Racing, it's preparation, it's focus, it's attention to detail. And when you try to take shortcuts, it shows. At Speed City, Southern Oregon's karting headquarters, distributor for Ultramax, Legend, QRC, Bell helmets, and K1 race gear, they don't roll like that. Speed City is committed to roll the way champions roll by keeping racers on track with knowledge, integrity, and performance. No shortcuts, no negativity, no other motives. You don't just have their word on it, you've got their name on it. So get back to having fun and get to calling Speed City. Speed City, LLC, keeping racers on track with quality service and friendship. 541-531-1222. All right, we are back. Good folks at Speed City helping out the Northwest Race Report, and I appreciate it greatly. Lori Fuller, Sean Fuller down in the Medford, Oregon area. Good, really, really, really good folks. Speed City, they're going to be coming up. They're going to be something to be reckoned with, I do believe. So we are talking with Chris Seay. Those of you that are just joining us late, I don't know how you could have been late on a night like this. I mean,
it was easy traffic.
I know, and here I am. I'm Chris. I'm going to tell you, I was actually kind of nervous. You know what I'm saying?
Me and you both. I mean, my wife just walked in here. She told me before I called. She said, "You've got to watch what you say." I said, "What are you talking about?" She said, "You say kindly all the time." I said, "You've never told me that." And she says, "Every conversation you have, you use the word kindly like this or kindly like that." So she just walked in here a while ago, and she looked at me and she said, "You said kindly twice."
That's all right. Terry's in the epic.
Yeah, I had a word like that. I just couldn't. It was epic, and I got it, and I just could not stop using it. It was pathetic.
Well, see, with Mike Yao, in his conversation, it's always, know what I mean? He'll say something, know what I mean?
You know what I mean.
I like that one.
We have fun with that.
No, I don't. That's why I'm asking. So, the latest craze is all this body work, right? I mean, Wes Snow has come out with a cool looking. I mean, it certainly looks mean and cool and awesome. And it's selling like wildfire, but I just am I here to knock Wes? Of course I'm not. I mean, his stuff is good. He runs fast.
Oh
but,
yeah.
But
great looking stuff.
Does that now mean that if you don't have one of those bodies, you're not going to be fast?
That's a good question. I mean, quite honestly, I'm not going to say no. I'm not going to say yes. I think what Wes is doing is he's doing some fantastic work. He's definitely putting a lot of effort in it, and his stuff is different. It's unique, and he's going to challenge people to think outside the box. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. That's one of the beauties of the UAS class, is that it allows that kind of thinking outside the box and doing something different. Wedge bodies in itself are nothing new. They've been around a long time. Most of the guys in the Midwest and on the West Coast were more wedge-oriented than the guys on the East Coast. They've been doing that stuff a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just saw Jason Gibb posting on your site here, and I mean, Jason and those guys out there have been running wedges way longer than we have.
Right.
So they were always constrained with the rules which were allowed in IKF, and not allowing the nose to connect to the side panels. They had to be separated. Your angle of the side panel was more extreme because it had to be in line with the kingpin of the front axle, and they generally stopped right at the Nerf bar. There were
isn't that the same with the UAS too, though? I mean, they did. I mean, by rule, I don't know that you could run a complete sideboard down the side of it, not at the whatever.
Well, you can't.
I don't. Why not?
We have expanded. We've expanded the dimensions, outside of what the old IKF rules were, to allow for a little, slight changes and a little more innovation.
Yeah.
So, it's still the same concept. You're trying to add downforce to the car. But I'm going to be quite honest with you. Those old IKF wedges work. There's still nothing wrong with that design. You can take a properly designed IKF wedge and go just as fast as anybody else. There's nothing wrong with that at all. And, I have to...
Could you go just as fast without one?
No.
Okay.
No. I mean, a wedge definitely is going to stabilize the car. That's the number one thing that the wedge is going to do for the car, is stabilize it. And you're going to get most of that stability from the side panels. That's key. You can take a good side panel and without all the downforce and hold that car in the corner. The side force, in my opinion, in oval dirt racing is far more effective than downforce. And I think me and you kind of talked about that a little bit.
Yes, we did. Mm-hmm.
And these, not long ago there was a late model asphalt car that set the world record on a 3/8 mile track, 140 something mile an hour average.
That's ridiculous.
8-second lap on a 3/8 mile asphalt track.
8 seconds?
Yeah. And the dude just had a
garage door on it. Yeah. It was a garage door.
The entire left-hand side of the car. Very little wing at all. And he went around the racetrack like a slot car. So you got to understand, we're changing directions and on both ends of the racetrack. Within 8 or 10 seconds, you're changing directions and running in opposite way. You've got to turn this car, and that side panel is very, very effective in making that car rotate through the corner.
That's the key right there, rotating through the corner.
Yes. Now, would you agree?
Oh, yeah.
Would you agree with me? Because in my big car experience, people would say all the time, "Well, I need to." When it's properly set up, at least this was the way my belief was: is if it's properly set up or it's really close, the thing's gonna want to naturally rotate on its own. It shouldn't be a forced thing. When it's really close and right, when you get in there, naturally it should be. Now, granted, you're going to have to do a little bit whatever to turn it. But, I mean, with everything is close, shouldn't that thing want to just start rotating, naturally on its own?
Well, I mean, you've got to look at how these chassis are designed. They're designed to load and unload via the left rear, right front. That's key. And these chassis are designed, like we said, to work with the tire and wheel combinations that we have available today. You don't want to vary too far away from what these carts are designed around. And you also do not want to bind these chassis up, because each one of those tubing, the geometry has a specific purpose for loading and unloading the chassis. And a lot of what we do to body work sometimes can just hinder that cart's natural ability to rotate through the corner. And that's one of the things that we try to do with our body work, is to not take away that cart's natural ability to rotate through the corner and do what it's supposed to do. We still run our Nerf bars very loose. We run our bumpers loose. We run our front bumpers loose. We want that chassis to work like it was designed to work.
Flex.
Yeah, it's got to. It's got to. When you take that natural ability away from the car, then the changes that you make in your cross weights and your nose weights are insignificant.
Right.
They have less effect.
Do you leave the floor pan bolts then loose too?
Yes. That's important. Anything you tighten down on this chassis changes it. If you're on a higher grip track, you can generally get away with a stiffer chassis on a high grip racetrack. But when you go to a low grip racetrack, you don't want to bind this chassis up. It's got to load and unload through the corner to gain grip.
I think the problem herein lies is what people consider binding up, right? I mean, something super flexy, people can make the misconception of that's going to be easier to bind up than something that is stiffer, right? I mean,
oh yeah. Well, these chassis manufacturers are serious about this stuff. Phantom, Ultramax, any of the guys, the big chassis builders in this area, they test just very extensively, moving a bar a quarter of an inch here or an eighth of an inch here, or changing this bar from an inch and an eighth to an inch and a quarter, or in caster camber build angles on your spindles. I mean, they never quit testing. And one of the things that's become it's going to be a game changer soon is several of these chassis manufacturers in this area. I know Charger's got one, Phantom's got one, Ultramax has one, and probably everybody else will follow suit soon, are chassis dynos, just like the NASCAR teams. And they're already in use. They set these chassis up on a CNC computerized dyno that run this chassis through a simulated program.
Right, and it's got the tires on all four things, and the one tire you can move the left front up and the right front down and the right rear up and all that stuff.
Generally, there's no tire on the car. You've got strain gauges that attach to the spindle and the axle, and your computer program runs this chassis through a program, and they monitor the strain gauges off each four corners of the chassis. Wow. So they can tell very quickly how the weight transfers and what a change in a bar here or there is doing to the go-kart before they ever get to the track. If they want to move a bar and they want more or less transfer, they can do it right there on that dyno and see if they're getting what they're wanting to get before they go to the racetrack. So it's going to, not only that, but you could take a car that's working really, really well and put it on this chassis dyno and run it through a program and just see where you're at. Why does this chassis work so well?
Wow.
Let's see what we have. So
that is going to be a game changer.
It is. It is.
Well,
it's going to cut. One of the things it's going to do, it's going to help these chassis manufacturers from having to test so extensively at the racetrack. I mean, there's really no other way that they know what they're doing has an effect till they get to the track and put it under the stopwatch.
Right.
But if they want to make a change and they think they want more or less transfer or stiffer here or there, now they can see it computerized on a readout with these chassis dynos before they even get to the racetrack.
Wow.
That's going to be amazing. And you're right, it is going to be a game changer for sure. That especially when, the feedback you get from each person is different because it's their interpretation of what the cart is doing. So this way it's all numbers. That's amazing.
Yeah, and I don't know if JP is still out there, but he said, are you still taking questions for Seay or C? And I said yes, and I don't know what his question is, so I'm gonna.
Okay.
JP, if you're out there, man, type it in there, and we'll see if Chris can get it answered for you.
Joe has come out here to the East Coast twice and raced with us, or just hung out in the pits with us. And Joe's a great guy.
Super
really
great guy.
Enjoyed having him out here. Yeah, he is.
Yeah. Wait till you get Diotti out there. Has he been out there with you yet?
Yeah, Diotti. Let's see. He was at the Grand National in Ohio. Is that right?
Yes, he was. But here's his hang on, Chris. This is pretty important. He says, "Hey, TB, ask C who's a better driver. Him or J.R. Neal?"
Look, I don't know if you guys know who Junior Neal is, but Junior is 80. I think Junior's 84 now. And he called me the week before we ran our Big Southeast Championship, 2 weeks before we ran our Big Southeast Championship, and wanted to know if, I'd put him together a ride for the UAS class.
You got to be at 80 years old?
Yes, sir.
Oh, good Lord.
Junior is a multi-national champion, Grand National champion, points champion, sprint racing, road race, shifter car. He's been overseas and run. He was sponsored by Margay. I mean, Junior's he's as good as they come, and he still loves to get in a go-kart. He's just a big kid at 84 years old. He's got a downhill trike. That's one of these sliders.
Drift trike.
With the I don't forget now what they call them.
Yeah, but it's like a skateboard. You rotate your butt in the.
Well, no, it's just a giant big wheel.
It's a drift trike
for adults, and it's a coaster thing. Anyway, there's a big mountain close to where he lives, and he gets at the top of that thing and rides that 3-wheeler down that mountain. He's like I said, he's just a big kid. But anyway, I grew up following Junior.
His question is: Junior better driver than you?
Junior's as good as they come. Yeah, back in the day, you did not get any better than Junior. He's one of the guys. He's one of my heroes growing up as a kid, and he knows that. But when I was a teenager and Junior would come run some dirt tracks or some local dirt tracks, I outrun him a time or two. He didn't like that too much. But that's water over the dam now. We've had a lot of fun with that.
Yeah. So this chassis dyno thing is going to change the whole.
Let me
go.
Let me tell you about this. The reason why Joe knows Junior is because the first time Joe came to South Carolina was at Possum Kingdom, and I took Junior a kart to run at Possum Kingdom, which was one of Yao's Wankels, and we set it up for him. And this was only been, I don't know, Joe, maybe you remember, it's probably been 4 years ago. And Junior ran all 20 laps on that Wankel and ran 7th out of probably 15 or 16 karts in the race.
Wow,
80 years old. I mean, so yeah.
So he's like
take the guy serious.
he's like the Herschel McGriff of karting then, for sure.
Oh yeah, yeah. He's just a big kid, but we love Junior.
That's pretty neat. And see, and it goes back to what you said. It doesn't really matter what you're doing. Notice how to do this. It always comes back to the people aspect, right? I mean, it's just
of course.
There's just that you just can't get away from it.
As long as you're having fun.
I mean, look, we go to the racetrack to win, and we love the competition part of it. And let's be honest, racing's all about vanity and pride. I mean, really, you get right down to it. You want to win. You want to know somebody knew you win, and you want to rub it into them. I mean, that's racing. That's what it's all about. It's vanity and pride.
I like that.
At the same time, when it's all over with, and you can just get together and fellowship, with the guys that you competed with, that takes on a whole different element, and that's really the good part of it. A lot of times you have rivals in your career throughout karting, and that rival may last for years, and I've had them. I mean, you just did not speak to one another at the racetrack. But over the years, a lot of those rivals have become some of my best friends.
Amen.
And then you look back and say, we had some fun back then, didn't we? But, that's not what life's all about. It's about people relationships.
It sure is. I mean, that's wow. It is. It's a huge deal. I mean, it is. But I think rivalries are good for karting. I mean, I think or racing. Period.
Well, it's a race.
Yeah, I love it.
If it wouldn't be.
Yeah.
I mean, and you were asking me about Wes's stuff. Wes, is coming to the UAS stuff, and he's doing some great work, and that's great. I mean, it just raises the bar for everybody because people like to pick and choose what they want to run. This guy, he's going to run a Phantom, and this guy's going to run an Ultramax, and a lot of times it's not because they think it's any better. They just want something different from you. Because if they can outrun you with something different than they have, then hey, that's just better, right?
Yeah, it is. It definitely is.
I think that's the key.
And that's the beauty of UAS is that it allows a person to be creative.
Exactly. I think that's the big deal with the UAS is it is innovative. It is out of the box, and everybody tries to go out of the box, and that's what makes that class so great. And truthfully, that's what's making karting evolve. Really, is that class. Let's face it, if it wasn't for that, it would be the clone class, and everybody would have a swoop body and a 4-cycle on it going in a circle. So I'm thankful for it.
That's one of the reasons that Harold Wiggins built a UAS car. For several years, I'd called him out. If we were at a trade show or whatever, and maybe they were doing an interview with me and talking about UAS, and I was challenging all of the kart manufacturers that were there. I said, you guys need to look at this class, and you need to, consider it because it's different, and there's a lot of people taking your chassis and running it that you built for a clone and running it in the UAS class. So you really need to take a look at this. So for several years, I just called them out. And Harold came to me one day. He said, I'm bored with clones. And he said that. Said, I'm just bored with it. But my gosh, he's won everything there is to win in clone racing with his chassis. We've got a gazillion manufacturers, championship trophies in his showroom up there. And after a while, you just get tired out running the same people. So he jumped into the UAS class. And we made him work for it. Now, I mean, his wins that he won, and he did win the Grand National at Dumpling Valley with Jerry Mullis driving. And the very next week, his Crystal Trophy he had someone take a picture of it in his showroom, and he sent it to me on his phone with him smiling, waving at me, holding that crystal. So, say what you want to say. It's all about the bragging rights. Now, that's what it comes down to. So, But anyway, we have fun with it. So,
yeah, wow. Have you been to Phoenix? To the Holiday Classic? Have you run out there?
No, haven't been to Phoenix. Tulsa is about as far west as we have been. Got to go out to Tulsa, I think in 03, maybe 03 or 04. I can't really remember. It was one of the last years that they ran karts at Tulsa. And got to compete with old Jason Gibb and those guys out there. Jason was always strong at Tulsa.
Yes,
and,
he was.
Went out there and wound up with I think I ran third, and I had Jody Davidson from Louisiana. He drove one of my other carts and ran fourth. I'm trying to think of Jamie Parrish, I think, won the race that year with twin rejets, and I believe Jamie Farrell was second.
Wow.
But Jason got involved in a crash, and I think he came out, I don't know, one of his other cars, Rick Sullivan, was tuning on his stuff back then. Rick's a great guy. He's another guy you just won't find any finer person than Rick Sullivan. And so that was one of the few times, I think the only time I got to run against Jason. We've always had a crosstown rivalry, if you want to call it that, because we never got to race against one another, but we always kind of followed what the other guy was doing.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, what did he win? He won like 5 drillers or something.
Yeah. I mean, you just don't. And now he's got his brother's kid, Joe, that's racing, and he's doing a great job, too. So
yes, he is.
Family.
Yeah, they are. They're super, super, super good people.
Good people there and hard chargers.
Well, I know.
Oh, yeah.
So anybody got any questions? I mean, here we get the man on here, and yes, the question is, Chris, TB, does Chris, this is from Brent Meyer in Kaiser, Oregon, does Chris have the BK race on his to-do list?
That's getting closer to a reality. I mean, you guys are having so much fun out there, and that race just seems to be growing every year in its significance, particularly for the guys, out there on the West Coast. I did get to talk with Buddha some when he first contacted me years ago, and he wanted to start selling some Ultramax chassis. So I helped hook him up with the Ultramax chassis, and he started selling some carts and all. But I never got a chance to meet him personally. We just talked on the phone a lot about setup. And at that point in time, I mean, he ran groove tires for the most part. Just about everywhere he ran, he was running groove tires, and that's just a different ball game from what we do. I tried to help him as much as I could. But the guys that run the groove tires on the tracks that they run, they know what they're doing.
Yeah, you can blame Gibb for that. Yeah, get the Gibbs love treads and tear offs. That's their claim to at least Chris anyway.
It has its place.
Definitely.
I won Daytona on groove tires back in 80. I think it was like 81, 82. At the Memorial Stadium at Daytona, we won on grooves, burst groove tires.
Wow.
But that's a different surface altogether as well. And we used to run some groove tires when we would go to some softer racetracks in the area. But it didn't take long before tracks started being groomed harder and smoother, and then that's when the slicks just take over.
Absolutely.
Have you messed with any of the cage kart stuff yet? The big 500cc things with the.
No, but that's a neat class. It's really, really neat. I like the class. It's really, I don't know. I guess it's you're almost to the point when you get to that particular class that you might as well go to a mini sprint or midget or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But because you're just about going to sink as much money into it, particularly the motors. I mean,
Ooh, yeah.
Motors that they're building for those things are outrageous now.
Yep.
But yeah, they're definitely intriguing, and that's one of the things that has diverted Harold Wiggins' attention up at Phantom. Is he's building some cage karts, and they've got a track just right in their backyard, which is Mill Bridge.
Mm-hmm. Big deal.
That big
Mm-hmm.
big race every year. It's right in his backyard.
Yeah, the Speed Sport News.
So he's kindly working on some of that stuff and playing with it a little bit. So.
Did you say kindly again?
Did I?
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
He won't cut you any slack.
You know what I mean?
Okay, Yao. Oh, but you know, can I ask? Go ahead.
One of I might as well say this. Another one of Yao's expressions is "Damn it, boy." I mean, every time he says something, that's his reply back. Damn it, boy. Everybody.
Wow. That's crazy. Well, let me ask you a serious question, because I believe this with all my heart. I mean, I am from the first time I saw him, I am a UAS fanatic. I mean, I just think they are, they've got it all. They've got the technology. They're eye candy. Most of them, you know, the technology is super advanced. They're fast, and they all look super flash. I mean, wouldn't you agree? I mean, they've got it all. I'm saying, do you ever see this? Why couldn't that class be something on the speedway side, kind of like what the Rotax in the World Finals or Grand Finals or whatever it is on the asphalt side, you know, where you have a speedway super national, right? Where it's, you know, I mean, it is the epitome of, you know, that stuff. But I mean, Honda, Kawasaki, you know, Suzuki, why couldn't we get them involved with all this stuff and really get the UAS rolling?
I don't. That's tough to answer. And the reason why you see the Rotax stuff do as well as it is because it is a spec class. And a lot of the guys that get involved with it aren't tuners. They don't like to tinker with stuff. They don't like to develop stuff. You've just got a father with deep pockets, and he wants his kid to race, and he's going to go buy what's available, you know, for that class, and go hire him a tuner to work on it. And they've got aspirations of moving this kid, you know, through the ranks of racing. And it's just a little different than what we do. I mean, the UAS stuff is all about the tinker.
Absolutely.
And, that's a little.
But I think
more...
there's more tinkerers than a guy thinks, though. Could you imagine this? I mean, just think about this for a minute, Chris. So you've got this thing, okay? So maybe you start out and you run one on the East, one in the Midwest, and one on the West Coast. You just start with three. But I mean, you need somebody behind it, right? I mean, you know, Monster or, you know, whoever it is, Red Bull, you know, whatever it is, somebody big that's going to say, hey, we need to get some money out to these guys. Okay, so now you bring in a Tony Stewart, or you bring in a, you know, Jeff Gordon or whatever. And so now here come the, you know, it's like perpetual motion for those guys to have a constant field of drivers coming into them. You know, and then as the NASCAR guys get involved and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, I mean, I think I've always said one of the biggest problems is with karting, it doesn't get the respect it deserves, is there's no real pro class where you know, where you, not anybody can just go there. I mean, you've got to be, you know, you've got to be it. Anybody can, you know, and that's the true, it'll never get respect any other way. And I don't know.
The guy that's got the answer to that, he's I hadn't found him yet, because I sure don't. I can't tell you exactly what it would take. It is a different class altogether. Unlimited racing has always been a different class. Unlimited two-stroke racing, you know, which is really what the UAS came out of. is the old unlimited two-stroke class. And as those motors became more difficult to get a hold of and the class started getting smaller and smaller and smaller, it kind of transitioned into what we have as a UAS to build the class back up. You know, Mark Burkfeld had this vision of running a mixed engine class to continue, perpetuate open class racing of some sort. And why we haven't grown any more than we have, I don't know. But at the same time, you have to sit back and look at this thing as it really is. It is a nationwide series. There are pockets of racers all across the United States. And what did I see the other day? There was a new series starting up in Idaho.
Yeah.
I mean, how many kart racers can be in Idaho? I don't know. I don't know, but it's still, you know, pretty fascinating that the fact that this thing is can take on that kind of character in different regions. I would think, just my opinion, I would think that the West Coast would be super, super strong because those guys did a lot of dirt racing back in the day. I mean, that's really where the hotbed of some of your better unlimited and dual engine class wedge karts were at.
Right.
But right now, one of the stronger regions is in the Northeast. I mean, those guys pull a ton of karts up there.
It's not so much the karters as it is our area. I mean, racing around here is, you know, I mean, you go somewhere and you stand there and there's 40 miles any direction, there's a racetrack. And they love it back there. Out here, shoot, you say racetrack and, you know, people are manning their guns and, you know, everything else. I mean, it's like pulling teeth out here. I mean, if I had $1 or a dime for every time there was going to be a new racetrack or a NASCAR facility or a new this or a new that, you know, I mean, shoot, we would be doing something pretty cool, Chris, but it just...
Well, I mean, that's one of the advantages where we are, and we're in oval country, right?
Mm-hmm.
Be it dirt or asphalt. Everybody wants to run in circles. But we do have the GoPro Motoplex, which is in Mooresville, just outside of Charlotte, premier asphalt sprint track. And then you've got Carolina Motorsport Park in Kershaw, South Carolina. They've got a road race track. They've got two variations of sprint tracks, asphalt oval. Then over in Georgia, you have the Atlanta Motorsport Park, which they have a big road race track and a sprint track as well. So they're trying to make a comeback on sprint racing in this area, and it's gaining some ground. The Rotax stuff is pretty strong. But give an example of just how big dirt racing is in the Southeast. We're going to Thanksgiving Thunder at Cartersville, Georgia this weekend, and as of what is today? What is today?
Wednesday.
Is that right? I'm losing. Yeah. As of, I think it was Friday night, they closed off pre-entries at over 1,300 pre-entries.
That's just amazing.
And there'll be another 600 carts come through the gate. So
wow,
we'll be approaching 1,800 to 2,000 entries this weekend.
I know you know Ronnie, and he asked me to ask you, how did you come up with the 33 on all of your carts?
I used to run 3, and I just liked 3. It didn't have anything to do with Dale Earnhardt. To me, it stood for the Trinity, Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. And so I always ran 3. And then my cousin Jason, he started racing go-karts, and as a kid, he ran 3. So as he got older and he moved into the adult classes, we were both running 3, and I said, well, I might change my number. So I just went to 33. So it was 3 before it was 33, but I guess that's why. I just kindly let him have my number. And now Robbie's Robbie's run 33 since he's been driving my stuff, but my kids run 33. But in the day of transponders, doesn't really matter much. You know, you just put an X or a Y or Z after your number, and you got a transponder on your cart. They know who you are anyway.
Well, apparently you've never been an announcer. Because that's a bomber, dude.
I wouldn't be any good at announcing. I'd say kindly too much. He's kindly winning.
Look at that. Yeah, he's kindly getting it done, baby.
Right.
Oh,
damn it, boy.
Well, Ronnie says it's because 3 times 3 equals 9,
Equals 9.
which is his number.
I see that.
Yeah.
Nines are slow, though.
Wow.
No, that's another guy. You know, I'm looking forward to meeting. You know, me and Ronnie's talked on the phone several times. Just, you know, seems like a great guy. We kind of hit it off. I mean, everybody I've talked to up in your area in the Northwest, and I hadn't met anybody I hadn't liked, really. I mean, that's, like I said, one of the great things. And people.
Have you met Milton yet?
I have not met Milton.
Okay.
I have not met.
I'm just kidding. You'll love him.
I've
you'll
been
love
on
him.
the phone. Been on the phone with him. But you know, I followed some of the stuff that Anna's done out there, and I've watched some of the videos. She's very, very competitive. Great driver. I mean, she's a hard charger. She drives that thing.
Yeah.
I mean, whether the cart's 100% or not, she's going to get everything it's got.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's wonderful.
Hang on there, Chris. I got one more to get in here before we let you go. Okay, so hang tight. The 3 most expensive things you'll do in your life: buy a house, educate your kids, and go racing. What you don't need is another expense, and that's why you take your car and tow rigs to TruTech Automotive to ensure that they are maintained and repaired the right way with the right parts at the right price. And how's this for right? Extended to all racers is the In the Family 25% discount off of all preventative maintenance and repair labor. All you have to do is use the discount code NWRR to save. Now that's right. Get it done the right way, the TruTech way. TruTech Automotive, 6900 Northeast Highway 99, Hazeldale, Washington. 360-571-2302. That's my little Thanksgiving turkey gobble there for Mr. Chris Seay for being on the show. You know, man, I just want to tell you, I mean, I was pretty excited about this deal. You know, I having finally got to meet you or talk to you anyway. Chris, you know, as much as you say good about everybody out here, you know, I think that I can honestly say the same goes true for you. I mean, you're just a very wonderful guy.
I appreciate all the people out in your area because they've really supported our product, and we've tried to do what we can to support the racing out in your area as well, and want to continue to do so. You know, this is not kart racing is not my business. I run a machine shop. It's a job shop. We CNC machine and fabricate parts to print, contract manufacturing for all types of industries. And so karting is just something that the kart parts is something that we've always done. We've just expanded it a little bit. And, when we started making parts and wedge bodies and stuff, I just saw a need when we started doing the wedge bodies because there was so much inconsistency when you went to the racetrack. And when I say inconsistency, it's not so much that people weren't I just saw some things that they weren't doing correctly that I didn't like. And not only that, but some dangerous-looking, sketchy-looking wedge body setups. I mean, you got to be quite honest. You walk up on some of them and you think, my gosh, I hope that guy doesn't roll over. You know,
or I hope it doesn't fall off.
Exactly. So I just saw a need to try to help the guy who wanted to get into UAS racing and maybe before trekking out on trying to do something on his own and wasting a lot of time, put together a kit that was reliable, fast, efficient, functional, and was somewhat affordable. I mean, we still do our kits for I think it's $395 is what we do a kit for. That's the nose, the side panels, the wing, the center section, and the brackets, the towel, everything together.
That's a bargain.
It's good.
And do all the pre-drilling, so all they got to do is assemble the thing. And so it's more or less to help the guys who are getting started in UAS and have a good-looking setup, and it's worked real well for us. Now, has guys change or set up? The motors are getting heavier, they're torqueier, faster, whatever. There seems to be a need for more downforce or a bigger side panel, and there's something to be said for that. So we've started changing our kits a little bit. We've gone to what is called the COT wing, which is a NASCAR profile.
The car of tomorrow?
And it works. Yeah, and Wes uses the same profile in his wing, and so did Wayne Phelps. When Wayne started doing his wings, he used the COT profile, and that's because they work. I mean, they're wind tunnel tested. Wing does what it's supposed to do, and they're very functional as well. Now, our standard wedge wing, which is basically a spoiler or a wicker, it does provide downforce, but that downforce comes at the expense of some, straight line speed, whereas the COT wing will give you both. So we've put together an elite kit, which we have taller side panels that are lighter than our plastic side panels. We're doing the COT wing, and we're making some subtle changes to our nose as well. But anyway, that's all just in an effort to try to give the Carters what they're asking.
I think we got another question for you, Chris.
Hey, Chris, we had a question come in that asked what your favorite engine package is. What's your favorite?
That's another tough question. Naturally, we have run the GM, the 500 GM, which is a super strong motor. But I'm telling you, when you get into 60-plus foot-pounds of torque and 80-something horsepower, it just makes a whole different animal out of the go-kart. And you've got to learn to slow down to go fast.
Exactly. Something racers forget a lot.
So, you can turn around and bolt this BRC on, which might be, 54, 55 horsepower, 28 foot-pounds of torque, and still go just as fast because you can drive it harder.
Exactly.
And so which one is my favorite? I don't know. We like them both. And the 250 package, I mean, you cannot discount the success that those guys have had. Diate is blistering fast on Stephen Gleason's PK 250. I mean, it's just awesome. They've done a ton of work with their package, and they've got it dialed in. It's a great package.
Though that GM sounds better, though. The GM sounds better when it comes revving by. I watched that video you guys had from Patriot. I must have watched it 100 times just because I love the sound of it. I mean, they were
It's awesome. I mean, it's exciting just to watch the thing go around the racetrack. It sounds cool. Yeah, but like I said, you've got to drive it with the right foot. It's totally different than driving anything else. You've got to learn to slow down to go fast. You just got to feel the car more. You got to use more brake. Just so many different aspects about making the thing work. And it's harder on tires. I mean, the standard Maxxis on our tire, the 900 Maxxis, you can forget putting that on one of our cars. I mean, it's good for about 4 laps, and it wrinkles a sidewall up like a drag slick. It just
wow. So did I hear you say you use more brake?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
yeah, you can brake on the big motor.
Oh, you mean racers use the brake? Because I always hear all
Yes,
the time.
sir.
I don't use any brake getting in. I don't use any.
Maybe a clone.
Yeah. I'm just saying, right? You see that picture of Steve
Well-
McQueen, right? He's got the cigarette, and it says, "How were the brakes?" Don't know. Didn't use them. You know.
But that's a driver style as to how much brake he uses. We do the super brake, of course, and it's been we have sold hundreds of those things, and they work very, very well. But every now and then you get this one guy, and I don't care if you put a brake off of a Peterbilt on his go-kart, he's going to melt the thing down. I mean, there's just some guys. I'm serious. It's just some guys. Jamie Farrell is one of them. Jamie Farrell is one of the fastest guys that you will find in open kart racing. But he is hard on brakes. I mean, seriously hard on brakes. But he's fast. So you can be fast if you're hard on brakes. You can be fast if you're not hard on brakes.
But you're lying if you say you use no brakes.
No. Yeah, you're definitely lying.
Unless you're in a
Particularly
clone.
on the UAS stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, forget not having a vented disc. It's not going to work.
Oh, really? That's not the ticket?
Well, what I'm saying is just your standard steel disc
Mm-hmm.
is not going to work on a 450-pound go-kart. Yes,
Right.
it's toast in 5 laps. It's
Well,
toast.
what about the what do they call that? Where it's not serrated, but what's the scalped? You know, scalpel. You know, what do they call that?
Vented.
Oh yeah, but they're scalloped. Yeah, I don't know.
That's weird.
Anyway, so would does it matter if the brake's in the middle? Could you move the brake to the right, and would that hurt the go-kart? I mean, if you could get it over that far or closer to more to the right?
You know, you can look at chassis designs over the years, and they've been everywhere. If one chassis builder starts putting them on the right side, everybody starts putting them on the right side. If they switch back and put it on the left side, everybody's going to follow suit. If somebody puts it in the middle, everybody goes to the center. I don't know, but they seem to be moving all over the place
Right.
on the chassis, and I don't know that you can be. I can't answer that question, but I do know. You know, some guys put the calipers in front of the disc. Some guys like the calipers behind the disc.
How do you like them?
Well, I like the brake on the left-hand side of the car. I don't like a right-hand mounted brake, and I like that brake next to the bearing, because as long as you're braking next to the bearing, you're in a rigid position. You've got less movement up next to the bearing, so you're going to track better and have less movement between the disc and the calipers. So,
Do you run front brakes?
No, we don't run any front brakes. We just hadn't had a need to.
Got it.
I can probably see in some instances, depending on your kart setup, where it might work. But I mean, we're toting the left. The left front tire is insignificant to us. I mean, it makes the car turn in. From then on, it's just along for the ride. So.
Wow.
For us, it's just not practical on our racetracks.
So you guys are really then, once you get in and whatever, you're really getting over on the right rear then, coming off.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we try to make the car, you want the car to pivot without using brakes. You don't want to have to use the brake to make a car pivot.
So then, like a car, I mean, maybe you can just put an end to this for me, but okay, so typically, I mean, granted, you want to run it. Everybody puts the wheels in, try to get them there, you know. And I understand all that. But like let's just take a sprint car for example, right? And during qualifying, they got the 2-inch spacer on the right rear, and they qualify and do their thing. And then come main event time, when it starts to dry out and whatnot, they take the spacer out of the right rear and they walk over and they put it on the left rear. So my question is, when you move the left rear out, does that seriously loosen the kart? Because I've been told it loosens the cart, and my theory is it should make it tighter.
It's all timing. It's all timing. You're timing the amount of time that and the amount of weight that tire is going to have on it. When you get in a corner and the car transfers over to the right, you've got to look at that left wheel. Your axle is already, your car's transferred to the right-hand side, so your left tire, the farther it is out from the car, you're gaining altitude, so you're taking weight off the tire, and you've got less contact patch to the ground. So that in itself loosens the car.
Mm-hmm.
You've got less tire on the ground.
Wow.
You there?
I'm here.
You move as you move the tire in towards the chassis, you're going to put more weight on it, and it's going to stay in contact with the track more so. The closer it is to the chassis.
Right. But there's a point of, I mean, if we're talking like a sprint chassis, where they're running, it's 50 some inches wide, 50 plus, but I don't know. I just and all the stuff, when I did that when I worked with Phil,
you're probably equating on a sprint chassis, you're gaining stability when you widen the chassis. That's what you're looking for, stability.
Oh yeah, but this was on an oval. But like Fow, he liked to dance the rear end around and blah blah blah. Well, I just I said, man, I believe this is the way it is. Everybody says no, that'll lose. And he goes out and honestly, maybe it was just a track then, because that thing was. He come in, he says, I don't like it. Why? Because I can't get the ass end loose enough. And it's like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
Carts are being driven different now than they were, like I said, back in the days of the old IKF wedges, even before they had nose cones. I mean, they were running wedges with no nose. They had no nose.
Yeah.
And so those carts were set up different. So driver position was more forward and sitting more straight up in the car. And so when they got to the corner, they had to pitch the car, to get them to rotate. But they had just super, super forward bite up off the corner. But it's just a different day and time. Tracks were groomed different. Right? Chassis were built different. So the chassis now are built to drive around the corner. You don't slide it around the corner. You drive it around the corner.
Right. That's awesome. Well, Chris, man, we kept you a little overtime. I mean, I could stay here all night, if you wanted to do an all-nighter, but I know your wife is probably got the turkey in, and are you ready for all the trimmings and stuff?
We're eating Thanksgiving dinner at the racetrack tomorrow. They're actually at Carnesville. They have a restaurant.
She allows
behind
that?
The racetrack up on. Yeah, we did. We've done it last several years, and I mean it's great, man. It's beautiful spread.
Sure, it is great because she likes going. But try it the other way.
She doesn't have to cook.
We are not. Mine would be no way. We are not going to the track. No.
Mine would just be happy not to do the dishes.
No way. Nope. You even talk track.
We'll be eating Thanksgiving dinner probably around 2 or 3 o'clock, and we'll be on the racetrack by 6. So.
Wow. And you got the GM on that thing, or what are you running?
No, Evan. I'm going to put him in the seat of the BRC this weekend. He's going to make his UAS debut.
Ooh.
At Carnesville, and so I'm going to let him ride the BRC. So we're going to see how that works out.
Yeah, awesome. I'll have to. That'll be on our monitor. That should be pretty good. What's the name of the race you're at?
It's Thanksgiving Thunder at Carnesville, Georgia.
Is that the one that's got 900 pre-entries in it or something?
Yeah, we'll run tomorrow night. We'll run a couple of classes, the junior unrestricted. He'll run 2 different classes tomorrow night. Then on Friday, he'll run just the UAS. And on Saturday, he'll run his limited modified, and he'll be running. That's a $10,000 to win class, limited modified.
Wow.
And he'll run his clone engine in the amateur adult class a couple of those classes on Saturday as well. Mike Yao at High Performance Race Engines. Mike does our clone engines. And Dr. Fast Racing Engines. He does our limited modifieds. That's Rudy Wade and Mike D. Hart. I mean, that's some of the best engine builders in the business. These guys do a great job. So I just want to give them a shout out.
Yeah.
You know, something else I was going to say, since we was talking about the old days, and people, I think one of the guys that probably doesn't get the notoriety that they deserve when it comes to open kart racing is Kermit Buller. I mean, if you want to know who's kept this open thing going for years and years, and that's Kermit Buller.
Amen.
At Buller Racing.
Yeah, for sure.
He's
like Ralph Woodard, isn't he? I mean.
Oh yeah. Ralph has always been a mainstay in open kart racing, but Kermit, I mean, we wouldn't be where we are today. We wouldn't have some of the toys and trinkets and billet parts that we have today if it wasn't for Kermit and his consistency and what he does for open kart racing. There's just some great people up there.
Yeah, his stuff is pretty awesome. Really awesome, actually.
Yeah, definitely.
But wowee. So turkey at 2, all right. And do you have any applesauce with that?
No, cranberry sauce.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, cranberry sauce.
You saved the applesauce for at the racetrack. That's what you got to do.
Applesauce. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right. Crisscross applesauce. Maybe we can change it up for the weekend. You know,
yeah.
Crisscross cranberry or something.
That's a good idea, Chris. That's
another one. Wowee and crisscross applesauce. Man, if we come to the BK, you've got to,
Oh, I'll give you more than one, I'm sure. Your wife will be over there going, okay, you said wowee more than twice.
No, she came in here and she told me a while ago, she said, you said kindly 7 times already. So I counted it.
That's classic stuff, man. That is classic stuff. Hey, Chris C., man, let me just tell you, you made my whole universe tonight. I appreciate it.
This has been fun, so I appreciate you guys, giving me a call and having this opportunity to talk to you, and we look forward to hopefully getting up to the BK. We're going to give it a shot. And
go west, young man.
Yeah, head west, young man. Because I'll be there. I'll be there with ready to go, man, with bells on. You know, we got to do is we got to get you and Buller and Junior and Ralph Woodard and get you guys together and sometime and record a round table, right? So you're like Cale Yarborough and all those guys and just say, okay, see, you're going to start with the stories because the first liar don't stand a chance. Okay, ready? Go.
That would be cool, though.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
Would be cool.
And then you could ask JP who was the best driver was,
Yeah. But, there's been some great guys. You're just talking about Phil Fowler. I mean, he's been around for forever. I've never met Phil, but you just go back and look at the magazines and stuff, and he's another one that's always been a big supporter of unlimited open kart racing.
Yeah, he was saying he went to Indian Dunes to win his first Grand National down there, and I think it was like in Arizona or something. He showed up with they were like tires off of a lawnmower, and he had an old he had one of the old T80 T80 Corsairs. Nobody had ever seen one of those down there. He came down there. He said they laughed at him until he smoked them, and then they were all going, God, what kind of motor is that? Geez.
Yep.
But good stuff. Good stuff. Well, hey, man, go get busy. Thanks for taking the time. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your whole family, and good luck tomorrow.
And all.
Thanks, Chris.
And Lippy and all the guys there. Appreciate the opportunity, and everybody's been signing in and making comments. Happy Thanksgiving, and have a great Christmas too, because it's just right around the corner.
Yep. Thanks so much, Chris.
All right. Talk to you guys later.
See ya.
Okay, buddy. Bye-bye. Well, guys, does it get any better than that?
Good stuff.
I mean, I'm telling you,
I'm going to go start prepping tonight.
Well, I'm just telling you, that's the kind of guy he is, right? He's just down home and just good folks. And you're going to get the right information, right? I mean, it's like he told me. He says, why would I cheat? Why would I go somewhere to a big UAS race with a cheater GM? He says it would just be suicide for me.
Yep.
And it makes total sense, So yeah.
Especially when your business is card.
Yeah, I mean, it just makes no sense. I mean, he's one of the good ones in the sport for sure. Man.
Oh, good job roping him in. It was awesome.
Yeah, that was very cool. Hope you guys enjoyed that. We'll be back next week. Don't forget, we've got the Ford Focus Midgets coming to town on Saturday, and as well as the cage cart. We're going to see if Christian Osborne can get it done for 2-4-2 rather. And Double M, you got anything?
No, I'm good, man. Have a good holidays, you guys. Be safe, and I will catch you on the 3rd.
Lippy, you got anything, buddy? Good to have you back, by the way.
Yeah, no problem. I had a good time here today. Keep Jeremy Memes in our prayers, and if you can help him out. After his spill at Salem, I don't know if you guys addressed that at the beginning of the show or not.
No, he did but I put a post on my Facebook page.
There we go
and whatnot. Jeff, you got anything, buddy?
Nope. I just might have to slide down there Saturday though.
That would be cool.
Woo.
Yeah. So we'll look forward to seeing everybody. Hey, you guys, everybody, seriously, thanks for all the support of the show. I want to thank Speed City, True Tech Automotive, Scout Steel Coat, O'Hagan's Kart Supply, just all the great folks helping out the show. Have a super holiday. And Lippy, Mikey, Jeffrey, when somebody's on the bottom, what do you got to do?
Hit the high side.
Drive her in. Go up high.
Drive her in.
Go where they're not.
Go where they're not. Have a good one. Happy Thanksgiving, you guys. We love you. Take care.